Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee to order. And the first item on our agenda is to approve minutes, and this is the May 10th meeting, which was our regularly scheduled meeting of the Budget Committee.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Are there any additions and or corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that motion carries. We are continuing our work on the general fund this evening, and for those people in the audience, this will be our procedure that we will follow. I will ask the department head to join us at the table. Mayor Burgess will review his recommendation. Then I will ask you as the department head or the representative of that department to speak to any of the details of your budget, and then to affirm if you agree or disagree with Mayor Burgess's recommendation. And then the committee will have opportunity to ask questions or have as much discussion as you feel is necessary. And as we did last night, we will do our votes as a voice vote. Any questions or anything we need to discuss before we begin? Okay, let's begin, please. Gentlemen, in section 2 of your notebooks, page 34, and Circuit Court. Mrs. Boland, if you will join us, please.
Yes.
We will be on page 34. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Okay, the recommendation is $497,250. You can see that's down about $48,000. And I'm going to let Ms. Boland address line 317. She's reduced that from 200 to 176. She's not asking for any office equipment this year, and she's reduced legal services by $5,000. The rest of it's basically the same, so that's where we are, and that's our recommendation. And she can explain a little bit about 317 if she likes.
Sure. 317 is our data processing services. That's a revenue offset line item. So that appropriation includes our computer software service, and it includes our Accurate contract, which is used in our collections department, and it's an archives revenue offset as well. So any money we spend on archiving comes through that line item. Any other questions on that?
Explain to me again, because of your salaries, there's straight out of the fees that you collect.
We're a fee office, yes. So we pay our salaries, the county pays the salaries, they essentially give us a bill, and I pay that that same day. So.
How many people are working in the clerk's office?
I have that.
I know, she was here last night, that's why. Yeah, right.
I have currently, let's see, where's my nifty little spreadsheet? I currently have 42 total employees. That includes myself and all my part-time people. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4 part-time people as well.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve the mayor's recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin.
Second.
And seconded by Commissioner P. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mrs. Boland.
Can I just make one?
Absolutely.
We're working on our computer software contract, and we're working with GSA to consolidate the 8 different contracts we have in our county for that. We're actually meeting with them next week. There is a potential that I will be coming back, myself and Mr. Buchanan will be coming back with contract information in June, July, or August. So I don't want you to be shocked when we come back with a new contract during the whole budget process. And, you know, I just want to make sure you're aware of that. All right, thank you.
What are you trying to say?
Don't want to hear it back, okay? That's all. Thank you.
Gentlemen, page 35, Circuit Court Judge, and Mayor Bragg is joining us. Mayor Bragg. This is Judge Bragg, right?
Thank you.
Mayor Burgess, if you will
Well,
give us
this-
your recommendation.
Okay, this is very much a continuation budget. In fact, it's down $1,000, but $248,765, and everything is basically the same as current budget. That's the recommendation.
Judge Bragg?
I concur with the mayor's recommendation, and I appreciate his and Ms. Nolan's and the committee's work and all that you do for the circuit court judges. On behalf of all our judges, I express our appreciation. We certainly concur in the recommendation.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank
Second.
you. Seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you. I won't be back between now and the budget. But I appreciate everything that the clerk's done to try to help too. Thank you.
Thank
We'll hold him to it.
Fine.
Gentlemen, pages 36 and 37, general sessions. And we have Ms. Watkins here and also Judge Lowry. Mayor Burgess?
Okay, the general sessions recommendations, $1,370,262. I'll just point out two items that, or three really, that sort of have some differences there. Line item 189 on the other salaries, that's where Ms. Watkins and our judicial commissioners reside. And in that, as we discussed last night, there are changes there with respect to those employees, reevaluations, et cetera. Line item 322, I reduced their request on evaluation and testing, but that's not their request.
No, that's ours, that's the mental health.
That's the mental health piece, so we're just estimating.
That's just an estimate,
That's
though,
just
yeah.
purely an estimate, it could come in more, but it's, right now, we're doing better than we've had that one bad year, so that's $30,000. And on the next page, they're needing some improvement in a couple of the courtrooms with, I think, some of the sound system, microphones, et cetera, so we got $14,000 in there. So that's the three primary areas that we sort of had a change in, but that's the recommendation.
So 322, actual, we've got on 15, so we've got some bills in the rears there that's
I don't
still.
think so.
No?
No. Not that I'm aware of.
Why? That is, I
I
got
mean,
it.
that,
it's
when you look
better.
that year,
A lot
that 10,
better.
11, that was, that
They
year and the
had
year
a-
before was a
That
killer year.
The oops here.
They
State
had a
kind of threw
case.
us under the bus.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
one young lady.
Yeah.
took a
Right.
lot of money.
Yeah.
They kept her for months and months, almost, I guess, a year.
$100,000 worth, I believe it was.
Yes, one person.
Well, speaking of that, they kept her a long time. Did the General Assembly just pass that 30 days is now the limit on it?
No, but Mayor told me 30 days was the limit. He passed it, he said, after 30 days, we wanted to
We had some,
call.
we did have some meetings with him. One thing we're getting now, if they have a person that they deem is going to be a candidate to be down there for in-house treatment, they're giving us a letter of notice before the fact. So the judges have a letter, we all have a letter, so we can sort of communicate and work on this before the fact.
When you say they, you're speaking of the judges.
The mental health, yeah, the judges can, yeah, they'll have information knowing that they have this client that's been.
What we do, Robert, is sometimes the defense attorneys, public defender in particular, when somebody mentally evaluated, if there's any doubt of their competency, and that's, we had to send them down to state sometimes to get that done.
Is it not so that when the state was picking up the tab 2 or 3 years ago, there was a limit on a number of days?
Well,
And when
they
they
were
turned it
picking up
over to
the
us,
tab.
it took the limit off?
They were picking up the tab for misdemeanors and felonies. Now, they changed the law, they're picking up for felonies, so if they charge with a misdemeanor, that falls on the county hosts the.
But when it was their tab, there was a limit.
Yes,
But then when they took it off their tab, they took away the limit at the same time,
that's correct, but,
without necessarily letting us know about it.
yeah, but now the counties are responsible for any, if it's a misdemeanor, if it's a felony, then the state will pick up the tab even today. On those evaluations.
Agree with the mayor.
Judge Lowry, do you agree with the
Yes,
recommendation?
I do.
Make a motion approved, then.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Jordan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Snyder, if you will join us, please. The proposed budget for the drug court, pages 38 and 39.
It was the,
Okay, here we go. And the recommendation is going to the back page is $410,510. And I'll have to make note, you'll see that's a change from what's in your book on that page there. And let me review the changes, plus just review a few of the things that we've actually, might be different from last year. On that part-time line item, we've increased that amount of money because it was necessary, we believe, to increase the hourly pay for that person. So you see that's about a $6,000 increase. There are some other salaries changes on line item 189 that appear because of our reevaluation process. Line item 348, we've increased that to $600, so you can run through that. Line item 499, 15,000, reduced that, and we're not going to do any data processing equipment, so that's zero. So that's how we reduced that 429 to 410, 510, and that's the recommendation.
So 169 is one person?
yes,
And that's at a part-time position?
Yes, it is.
it's an evaluator. Therapist.
Oh, okay.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Fee, thank you.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Samuel.
That was 410.
410,500.
Where is all this coming from now? Can you just break it down for me?
Revenue sources.
Fees from the participants, our alcohol and drug school, the 10-week school that we've been doing, and the DUI school that we're now doing out of the workhouse once a month. Drug court fees, which is through legislation. The drug court support grant, you probably read in the paper that Jim Tracy was able to get us another $37,000, so that's an increase up to $87,000. The Drug Court Support Foundation is throwing in $32,500. We are now a vendor for the state of Tennessee, so we can receive ADAT and SPOT funding from the Department of Mental Health through the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Services. The DUI treatment funds, which is also collected by the clerk. And then the last 2 years is that we've asked for $80,000 from the county. This year we're only asking for $61,010. And I'll quibble with you on the 10.
Okay.
Don't give up, don't give
So-
up. Hold.
Any other questions for Mrs. Snyder?
So you went up basically 30,000, but 19,000 less from the county.
Any further discussion?
You're on a roll.
I'm trying, you all have no idea.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mrs. Snyder.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Judge Davenport,
Sheriff,
and gentlemen, we need to be on pages
increased to
42 and
111,000
43
in a
for the
few years.
juvenile court part of the
I know
budget.
from what it was
42 and
for
43, Mayor
2010.
Burgess.
Okay, we're recommending $509,862. You'll see that's up about 20,000. It's a few miscellaneous increases, but one in particular, we've increased this line item 399, which is other contracted. That's the sort of the substitute magistrate. We've increased that to 7,000. The rest of it is routine and just, there's nothing in here. The judge herself gets a small increase there, but, so there's no other changes that are noteworthy, so that's the recommendation.
Judge Davenport.
And I accept that recommendation.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Sam.
And 102, that's just one, right?
Yes, sir, that's just one that's.
Quick question, the judge's increase, is that mandated by the state?
Yes, sir, the general sections and the juvenile.
I thought it was, and I just wanted to bring that out because, we've been scrutinizing everybody else's.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Whitesell, District Attorney, page 44, please.
Okay, the recommendation is $85,675. there are really not any items there that are noteworthy, you might say, and all of those are there simply because of the one employee we have, and those attendant benefits and all the other components are the same.
District Attorney Whitesell.
Good evening. I accept the mayor's recommendation and appreciate all you've done for us in the past.
Motion approved.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Melton, this is the Office of Public Defender, page 45, please. Good evening, Mr. Melton.
Good evening.
Mayor Burgess.
The recommendations for $35,400. Public Defender Melton has been very reasonable to work with us. We do have a small increase there on that contract with government agencies, whereby we're giving over $35,000 for him to give over to the state to pay one of his employees there somehow. But that's the only increase, and it's, we are recommending that.
Mr.
request that
Melton.
he's making.
I agree with the mayor's recommendation, appreciate the council's support in the past.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner P. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, pages 46 and 47. Youth Services. Mrs. Vicky. Good evening. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, the recommendation is $897,304. There's only a couple of smaller changes, and that's in line item 103 in particular. There's about $4,000 plus there in the attendant benefits in that. Again, that's a function of her assistants and her employees and what we've done with their steps and their reevaluation. So there's really nothing else here to point out to you. Line item 312 is simply a pass-through of monies that come through her organization to be given over to another one, I believe.
Mrs. Vicky.
I agree with the mayor's recommendation.
Motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Domestic violence, page 48. Ms. Tillage. Good evening. Mayor Burgess, please.
Okay, this is a slight reduction from 179 to $161,795, in that there's a little bit of some rearrangements. Since Ms. Tillage is with us now, some of the salaries are a bit different, so otherwise, there's nothing else to report or identify of any particular change. And we will make note that her budget is fully funded by domestic violence fees that are collected.
Ms. Tillage.
I agree with the mayor's recommendation.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner P. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank you.
If they collect an overage in a year on the fees, do they roll into the next year, or?
She
It
does,
becomes restricted to her budget.
she has a balance, she has several dollars.
That's good. You know,
Gentlemen, page 53, this is traffic control, and this is the maintenance, repair, and utilities of traffic lights. Mayor Burgess?
We have a few traffic lights that have been placed in the county. They're maintained by the city, but we have to reimburse any additional costs if we do have repairs, et cetera. So that's $20,000, the same budget.
Motion approved.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner P.
Does this one include the 841?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Lights on there.
All of
I
it.
know it does that.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that motion carries. Pages 58 through 60. This is the Correctional Work Center's budget. Mr. Solandi, if you'll join us, please, pages 58 through 60. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, the recommendation is $3,512,595. Let's go back and look at a few of these line items. Line item 110, that's really not that much of an increase in that lieutenant position was vacant for part of the year, and we amended some of that money out, so you can see the amended budget is 23,292, but it started out at a number more like 45 or 6,000, so it really didn't go up. That was just that we used that money in another particular way. His sergeants and his guards and et cetera have been revalued, and there are some increases there, as you can see. He's replaced a person that was listed as secretary with a person of less dollars, you might say, so that's reduced that by about $13,000 to $14,000. We've increased in-service training, try to catch up on some of that. Go to the next page. A slight increase on maintenance agreement from 26 to 31,000, a reduction in building maintenance from 17 to 12. We do have increases in the laundry and the food and the medical pieces. We've added together all of those contracted services, and maybe others included that I didn't mention. So that's an increase of about $60,000.
What'd you say 399 was? I'm sorry.
It's food,
Okay.
laundry, medical, and it may be one or two other things that I don't.
All the contracted services.
All of those.
That's the biggest one.
Yeah. And I think we've got a kitchen equipment contract, and I'm not sure where that maintenance contract is. That may be in that grouping as well, probably.
I think that's a maintenance agreement.
That may be down in maintenance of equipment, okay. And we reduced prisoner clothing a bit from 24 to 15, but that's most of the changes that of significance. So that's a recommendation of $3,512,595.
Mr. Solandi, anything you need to speak to?
No, pretty much it, we went over this a few times, and I think this is the bottom line, what we agreed with.
Make a motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
The utilities.
Second.
That's-
Second from Commissioner Jervey.
I thought you said.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yeah, the utilities, through 10 months was accurate, so that we ought to be able to remain in there pretty good for next year then, is
Yeah,
what
we should say, I believe utilities sort of lag on the billing, even though that says 10 months, we might not actually have 10 months worth of
Okay.
bills. That's probably about 9 months.
Okay.
Pretty mild winter this year
Yeah,
also.
right, that's what
Helped a lot.
So if that's 9, you're 20, you're at 240 instead of the 250, so that's pretty close, we think.
Lisa, could you help me on 109, 110, 15, 60, 60?
Okay, 109 is 1, 110 is 1, 115 is 6, 160 is 34, 1 secretary and 4 clerical.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
So so that fell back down to 1 on 110. Evidently
There was
No,
one,
We pulled
no,
out,
There's always
we
been one.
transferred
borrowed out of
money.
that line.
okay.
We transferred out some this year.
It would have started out much higher than.
It started out at about 45 or 6, that might have been 48, because that was the previous year.
Yeah. Okay. That's better.
Yeah, it started out at 45,505.
Thank you. You do a good job. Appreciate you.
We do have a motion and a second. Gentlemen, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Solandi. Juvenile detention, pages 61 and 62. Mrs. Dew, good evening.
Good evening.
61 and 62. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, we're recommending $1,873,806, which is about $58,000 more, and most of her increases are, again, cost of our line items on salaries, 115 sergeant, 160 guards, then attendance in line 164, so all of those are the normal increases plus any revaluations that were made. Of course, you can see that we've got the usual increases in health insurance on 205, which happens just depending on the needs of our employees. The rest of that, there's really nothing that I saw that was much of a change, if any. So it's a very good budget she's presented.
Mrs. Duke?
At this time, we're accepting the mayor's recommendation.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much. 63 through 65, County Fire and Rescue, and the Volunteer Fire Department, Mr. Farley. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, the bottom line, if you're on page 65, we're recommending $698,644. That's a reduction of over $500,000, but we'll make note of current budget. This year had a furniture and fixtures of $10,000. It had motor vehicle of $200,000, and office equipment of $6,000, and other equipment of $243,000, none of which is in this current line item. So we're already $460,000 of our $500,000 savings. You might say those were one-time capital expenditures that we're not recommending any changes in it this year. Let's go back to, let's see, line item 335. We've got an increase there on maintenance and repair in buildings because we only had a nominal amount in there this previous year. We've got another building that we are bringing online, plus the older ones we've still got to maintain that and one or two of them have to have some improvements. Let's see. Other contracted services, we'll look at the next page before we get to that, but that's behind this on 399. Uniforms, I reduced his request by 5,000 from 30 to 25.
That's actually turnouts instead of uniforms.
Okay. And the other supplies and materials, we reduced that from 19 to 9. We think we're in pretty good shape on that. There's nothing in the budget for data processing equipment. Everything he needs to outfit that new building, furniture, fixtures, equipment, et cetera, we're able to do with the capital that you funded with the building and the attendant needs that we have there. So that'll be done one time out of those dollars. On the next page, everything on that next page is, I'm recommending the same with the exception of Walter Hill. And when we started this business of allowing some of our rescue volunteer fire departments to participate in rescue, we were giving them an additional $5,000, and that was Amaville and Kittrell. And Walter Hill initially started out in this, but then they chose not to. Now they are going back. They're already back, so we're going to put them back at their same level they would have had and did have when they were participating and responding to the rescue. So that's the only part of that change on those contracts.
Mr. Farley?
Of course, the difference in communications was because of the new station. And then the maintenance agreements, which went to 21,244, actually come from 499, is regained cut from 9,000, because that's the money that we use to do our ladder testing, our air packs, flow testing, hydrostatic testing, our extrication equipment, make sure we test it and everything's compliant and up to date on it.
You say all three of them stations refused on rescue?
Pardon?
It's talking about Allenville, Kittrell, and Walter Hill.
Allenville, Kittrell, and Walter Hill are online for running rescue, so they get an extra $5,000 over.
Oh, I misunderstood, yeah. That's what I thought.
Because they have extra expenditures as far as manning the station
Yeah.
and people being there more.
I follow you.
Lined up.
Commissioner B.
You were asking him if you want to continue that.
Did you need to speak to any other part of your budget?
No mistake, any questions?
Okay, Commissioner P?
718, was that the other rescue vehicle?
Yes, sir, I had put in there for a new rescue vehicle that we went to Kittrell, and the mayor cut that out of the budget.
Okay, so how many new vehicles have we got that are running rescue right now?
One
Just
just went
one?
online this year and went to Animal.
The other reason I even brought that up, how many years has it been since we brought those frontline pumpers? About 12 now?
No, it's been 10 years on the last one and 20 years on the one before that. So the newest truck I've got on the road is the rescue truck that we just put in service, and the rest of them are at least 10 years old.
We're gonna have to be thinking about that, so that's why I'm bringing that up. I'd like to think we could get these rescue units out, because they're running, how many runs are they making in a month now? I forgot from
We're
the
running
last
50,
report.
60 runs.
Yeah,
We split into 5 zones, and you know about the response times.
Yeah, well, we're putting a lot of miles on those trucks, that's why.
And, well, the rescue trucks were a little bit worse for shape than the fire trucks because they run more.
What you thinking on that, Mayor? Just add one of them rescues a year?
Well, that was sort of our initial plan. We just don't have the ability to do it this year, and I just didn't recommend that.
And I understand that, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that we got a need there we need to be looking at, so.
We were going to buy 3 of those, I think.
The plan was to buy 4, and we we're gonna buy 2 a year, but of course, where the economic times are, we haven't been able to do that.
If we continue to see the improvements a little bit of this development tax, it might be something you might want to revisit as we get a little bit further into the budget year.
Two, I was gonna question if there would be a chance to ask Christie Houston to help us in that direction too.
They have been good to help us any number of times.
Well, one of the things that with the truck was, I think, was $140,000 last year. The rest of it was used to buy new education equipment. This year, in the grant process through AFG, I'm planning on writing a grant for 2 sets of full education equipment. So that will cut down, so when we do ask for a truck, the truck will be a lot less if we can get those grants.
Well, one thing I get disappointed in year after year is when we see the money that's been coming down from Homeland Security. To me, you know, these kind of trucks that are running extrication in case of an emergency, you know, these would be frontline trucks that be used. That's where these committees need to be focusing on putting some of that money.
Well, that's low, on the AFG grant, the rescue trucks are low priority. So we'll have a big chance of getting those.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. I think they're looking in the wrong direction myself. So I hope some of them are listening, maybe they'll, you know, it's my opinion, ought to be theirs. All right, that's all my questions. Thank you. Have you got a motion on that?
No, we do not.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner P, seconded by Commissioner Shaker.
I wanted to ask a question. In line item 101, the request was for, I think, a couple thousand more, and then see that it's reaching the cap. Why are we doing that? On 101?
It would only be 5.
I understand.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
I don't understand your question.
It's a $5,000 increase, and he's saying why?
Yes.
It would be no more than 5.
I understand.
Because of, I mean, because
I'm
of.
clear on what we've got here
Okay,
in
I'm sorry, I
writing,
just
yes.
get, the why it did go is, oh gosh,
The revaluation?
the revaluations.
That's what I was fixing to say.
Yeah, just like the other employees, I mean, that's been a revisit all the years.
He's a department head.
I mean, we didn't treat him any different from any other ones. It was just part of the valuation.
So we started off, I mean, we're meeting a cap. So how far are we under then?
I don't have that.
Because we started off with a pay grade here and a salary here when we put this position in place. And then you've been in this position, what, 2 years? Or 2 full years, or is it just?
It'd be 2 years in July.
Yeah. And so we're going from here to there, and then you know, if we take a look at next year, which I don't know that at this point, you know,
This position right here, just like any of them others on the new evaluation system, they all.
Like everyone else, Lisa
This
also,
ain't no different than the rest of them.
You go back to juvenile services, that was finally 4,500, you know, I mean, this is pretty much across the board.
well,
I got E too, Commissioner.
yeah, I do too.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, it's an independent evaluation by our other staff members.
So it's a evaluation of a chief position then, or in that role?
There's been nothing
Or is
changed,
it-
it has nothing to do with their salary survey that we made. None of these did. It's simply how many years they've been in these positions at the particular grade that we have them in. We haven't changed
Well, on
that
some of them,
particular grade.
well, on some of it, it was, if that, what, let me, I've gotta say this right. If they were not in the proper grade,
Mhm.
that was changed.
So this position's not in the
That-
proper grade?
That might have been, that's
Did
why
we
I was
just
trying to
start-
get my stuff that was not in the right grade. I didn't
This
bring
ain't
that.
personal, this is just starting a position and starting.
Our HR director's
Fine,
one,
is it?
The position was one of the positions that was regraded, and then the evaluation process for the years of service and years as a chief and current here is what the evaluation did. So he was one of the 7 positions that was realigned to a new pay grade.
Okay, so what's it gonna do to us next year then?
It may not do anything unless we choose.
It depends on what you do next year, but if you did, he would be in line for his step increase like everybody else.
All right, I want to make an amendment to the motion that's on the floor. And this is flipping the page. This is over on our rescue and fire teams in Amelville, Christiana, all them. I want to add 5,000 to each one. We've stayed pretty steadfast to 40 and 45 on a pretty much year by year by year, and the request always comes in strictly because it's getting harder every year to raise funds, it's insurance keeps going up, blah, blah, blah. We continue to have costs, and it's continued harder and harder on each of these. I'd say the backbone of our fire departments in Rutherford County. So we're doing a good thing in starting this, you know, what you're doing and seeing over every one of them, but you're talking about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, $40, $45, putting $5,000 back in each one of these. It's not much. It's a token, basically.
Well, my
but it's-
question on that, we're putting Walt Hill to 45, is that gonna put them up to 55?
No, not up to 50.
No, I'm just adding 5,000 to,
It'd be 5 more. on
you're
top
getting
of
them
it.
back
So
in
the mayor's
line.
recommendation.
You're getting them back in line,
So that'll be 45, and
They
so
go
everybody's
to
gonna be 45,000.
3 would be
45
would
to
be
50.
50.
They'd be
and
45
The
to
rest of
50.
them would be
45.
But we have climbed this over the last raises, so, because this was
When I
25, then it was
When I first
30.
came here, it was 25,000, so we've moved it from 25 to where we are right now.
We got
I
10,000
totally
last
understand.
Yeah, we
That's,
got 10,000 last year.
last year.
that's
That was
my,
a
that's my
30
amendment.
That was a 30% increase
Gentlemen,
last year.
Commissioner Sandlin has offered an amendment. Is there a second to his amendment?
I second his amendment.
Seconded by Commissioner Biddy. Discussion on the amendment.
We're not talking about very much money in the scheme of things, and we're talking about, what, $45,000, I said, spread out in all these departments, so, I appreciate them, I know you all do, and, they help us out tremendously across the county. If we hadn't had them from years past, then, this county would be in a terrible situation, so I think 5,000 to help them in each one, we're not talking about very much money here.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
Do we have records from 2009, 2010? Do we know what they were getting? Off the top of our
They
head.
got 10,000 last year, it said, so it went from
Okay.
35 to 45 last year.
Or 30 to 40?
Well, for
last
three
year.
of them.
And 30 to 40 or 35, it is
Okay.
10,000 bump each one.
Mhm.
Some of them got 10,000, some of them got 15, depending on what his rescue, I think is right.
Yeah, that's what he just said, yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody got 10, some got 35.
I mean, I look at y'all's direction on Walter Hill. I'm not wanting to separate anybody out. I'm just saying 5 across the board to everybody, but if we're up in them 5 this year, then I can negotiate on that one or whatever, so
Well, they're
I
picking
work
up
with you on
rescue,
that
so
one.
we would need to stay with just adding to this
I'm-
drive on the side,
well, I'm-
because the ones running rescue are getting the extra money, and they're earning every
We just
penny
give
of
them
it.
that because they are to match up with
Yeah.
the other two are
Yeah.
getting.
So I think it would be fair across the board as my motion reads, at 5 across the board.
5,000 on top of the mayor's recommendation.
Yes.
That's right.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
I mean, these guys are sitting back here, and you can speak for them since you're on up here, but, I mean, what's their insurance going up?
Some of them's 20,000.
See? And it's, I mean,
And the ones that run rescue, it's an extra burden on their departments because they do their very best to man them 24/7, and these guys are volunteers, so
Well-
sometimes the trucks are in service and sometimes they're not. But they do a very good job of keeping them in service to the best of their ability.
well, they're doing a great job, and it's making fundraisers out of all these departments here, and all these communities, instead of where they need to be focusing on training and peace of mind and being ready to be on call all the time, so,
Well, and
and we're
fundraising-
paying them the great salary of $0 to
It's-
do
people are
this.
hurting, it's harder to
So,
raise funds.
yeah.
so.
Yeah, this economy's hit everybody, and I think it's not much. We can do 45. We can do 5.
Gentlemen, we'll be voting on the amendment. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan?
Yes.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes.
Mr. P?
Yes.
Mr. Sandlin?
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Eden?
Yes. Now, gentlemen, we'll be voting on the original motion as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
743,
You want us to do the final numbers? Gentlemen, if you would like to tabulate the final number.
743, 644.
743,644 is our final number. Pages 66 and 67, emergency management, and good evening, Mr. Hoover.
Good evening, everyone.
Mayor Burgess.
Okay, the recommendation is $657,900, and, that's over $700,000 increase, but please take note of line item 790 is the Homeland Security grant money, is that not correct? And that's reduced, and that's just a pass-through, so that $1,032,000 has reduced to $262,860, so that's why we have this substantial decrease. There's only a couple of other little line items that I should note. 499, they had 20,000, and I've reduced that to 15. Building improvements, 23,000, I've reduced that to 0. We'll do whatever we do out of the county buildings budget, and we've increased a little bit of need there on the processing equipment. That's up $5,000 to 10,000. So that's the recommendation.
So we will be able to take care of the building improvements that we're needing. We're
They
going to
were-
find it from a different source.
It's coming from, yeah.
Mr. Booker.
Unless there are any other questions on the business.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Petty. Commissioner Schaefer.
You tell me again, what's the other equipment?
Homeland Security grant money
Oh.
that flows through this department.
That's all that we've gotten so far. All the rest hadn't come in.
That's
Okay,
the
that's where I
rescue
went.
truck that I want.
You can, that number will go to 0 soon. It's gonna-
Then
it's gonna
one
drive-
of the- Someday, we're gonna get the
Incrementally,
next,
it's-
the
it's
next one
incrementally,
coming
it's
in.
going away almost.
Okay. So what, leaving out the Homeland Security grant, how's this compared to last year?
400,000, this budget's a little under 400, and it was about 400, a little under 400 last year. But she's got it perfectly. 378,000 versus 395,000.
Okay. Salaries and stuff. All right, thank you. Man, big numbers.
Gentlemen, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much. The Sheriff's Department, pages 49 through 51.
Sheriff. Here's what
49
your bid
through
number is.
51.
Is that a motion to adjourn?
Sheriff Arnold, Chief Deputy Russell,
That's where your
will you
big
join
number
us,
is.
gentlemen?
Have to put my keys there, I know I'll get my sunglasses.
You gotta vote for that, so I carry a gun.
Gentlemen, before we begin with the mayor's recommendation, I'm gonna pass this down. You have a very nice, article about the garden in, this, and I thought you could use another copy.
Actually, that would be the first copy. I saw the article and I put it on my Facebook.
Page 17, I think it is.
Put it on my Facebook the other day.
If you'd like to hold that up for the
Yes.
committee, for them to see it. Commissioner Jordan has already read the article
I
also.
read it. Big old article here for Gardens of Hope.
Yeah, it's a very nice article.
I done
Is that
read
you
it.
in there?
No, it's not me. I'm not in the orange, no. Don't ever plan on being in the orange. But,
Unless you're at a ball game.
got another picture there. Yeah. Yeah, unless I'm on Rocky Top. Yeah. Thank you.
You're very
I
welcome.
really appreciate it.
Okay, gentlemen, 49, 50, and 51, Mayor Burgess.
Well, first of all, I'd like to,
Oh, we do have some changes,
we have
don't
some
we?
changes on this, and this,
Can I,
there's a, have you given them a copy of
yeah,
this?
they've got it in there, so just, can I do it overall and take it? There is a change on the bottom line. We did move 5,000 plus related benefits from the sheriff's budget into the fixed under registry budget, so that's the difference. But, that's one change, and then there were some other changes that, the mayor and the sheriff have made. But I've got to add something to the paper that you've got in there, and that's, if you go to the one, right, under 708, that 80,000 needs to be 111,313. That increase is to add the law enforcement block grant that you shared with the city, that they're not gonna be able to do it. That's the one that y'all had in budget, that
Yeah, we just did the
we're
other
not
day.
gonna be able to spend it this year, but we did wanna get it into next year's budget for them. So we'll adjust revenues and this line by 31,313. So on the bottom of that sheet, it should be 19,049,296. That's other change.
That's the changes. Let's go back to page 49, and I'll read these changes. You see, these changes that Lisa just inserted today, if you want me to tell you what they are on your other sheet, you want to make notes, that's okay. So I've written those down. Let's go to line 103. That number's been changed to 416,895. I'm just going to read the changes. Line 110 is 899,368. Lisa can check as we go.
Wait a minute, line 110 is what now?
It should be, he's following right along
I
with
follow
what I
right
gave
along.
you.
Oh.
We don't have to go there if you don't choose to.
We've already got the correct.
I got you,
over there.
I got you, I got you.
All right, so, but I mean, it might,
You
Oh,
can
that's
see what,
fine, that's
what
fine.
he's changed.
Yeah.
okay. And there was a change, well, if you're only about 10 changes, so 115 is 1,662,214. 162 is 539,37. 187 is 757,440. 189 is $3,056,953. I'm not going to admit, there's several changes in the benefit pieces, but I'm not even going to go there, there's all of those changes, because we've changed these other dollars over there. Everything else is the same as you have on the initial pages. And I'll go through a few comments on the initial pages. We've worked on these things even as late as this afternoon, so this is about the third or fourth iteration. His salaries and all of these various different line items, just like everyone else, we've had substantial review of substantial numbers of positions and employees, and they've all been reviewed and revalued, and we made, we think, appropriate changes to a number of those. So you can see that we have made several changes, and that is reflected in these dollars. And let's see. Now, overtime pay is a little more than, that's 187, that's 720 this year, that's up to 757, 440.
And some of that's offset by revenue coming from the school board.
Yeah, and some of that's one of the primary reasons that's up is because there is a fair amount of revenue that comes as these officers do duty at, work the ball games, et cetera. Then, let's see, of course, there's increase in the insurance line item 205, like in all the other departments. Communications, we've increased that. That's just actually telephones and cell phones and all of those costs that are associated with that. They're in an extensive rework and extended time of improving data processing services. That's up substantially. I've recommended 300,000. They've asked for 342. Maintenance agreements are what they are. That's 37,000 is what they actually have in place. Maintenance and service of vehicles is up 20,000, which is a reasonable number, we believe. Rentals has reduced in that they're giving up some rental space in anticipation of us finding some more space for them. Other contracted services, I don't remember what that was, to be honest with you, but that's down $24,000. That's the sheriff remembers, or Lisa, I don't remember.
399 has to do with off his Explorer Post.
It has other contracted services, is kind of shop at the sheriff, 9/11 Memorial, and the Explorer Post.
So I'm recommending 9,600.
Because it has money coming back.
Gasoline, I'm recommending holding it at the same, 850,000. Law enforcement supplies is up about 23,000. Uniforms, same recommendation, 175,000. Let's see, hazardous waste cleanup, we don't need that any longer since the state's going to do that, we believe. Other charges is, my recommendation is 10,000 less than his. Communication equipment, $20,000 recommendation less than his request. Data processing equipment, $57,000 less than his request. Law enforcement equipment, 10,000 less than request, and motor vehicles at 100,000, which is 209,000 less than his request. All that being said, the recommendation is $19,049,296.
I thought we loaded up on cars last year when the Crown Victorias were going out, so we wouldn't have to buy any this year.
But
Still got a
that
few
has been
others.
discussed seriously, and so this
We
is.
said last year we wouldn't ask for patrol cars. We still have detectives.
So we've got a few others, but we've reduced that to.
100,000 has no cars in it.
Well,
It's got other kind of
Yes, sir.
SUVs,
It's all those trucks.
SUVs and stuff.
We're going to have to get that turnkey.
Sheriff Arnold or Chief Deputy Russell?
Actually, are y'all holding on to your chairs? I agree with the mayor's recommendation.
I move to approve it then.
I'll second it. And then I got a
Commissioner
question.
Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Peay. Commissioner Peay?
The drug enforcement people, what have we done there?
We're gonna fund those for one more year. We've got enough money, we believe that we'll do it for one more year, and next year is gonna be bullet biting back.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Okay, now I need an explanation. I guess this is gonna come from Ms. Nolan, because I look here at last year's amendment budget was 19,119,000. Okay? But then I pull out last year's, when we get this, in July or whatever, the funding for this year for 2011-12, and it says the estimated is 18,126,000.
Right,
So-
remember at the first of the year, we added over $550,000 for cars,
Okay, but that was coming from,
fund balance.
yeah, okay, so we just didn't roll that over into, and then they got it out. They got it out from the unassigned?
After we closed,
Okay.
and we came back in August. And
Okay,
if you remember,
all
we
right.
had like over $700,000 that we pulled out of fund balance. That first meeting.
That was
And a
their
lot of it
stuff
was
that
those
wasn't,
cars. And it
that
was-
wasn't spent.
Right, and
Okay.
and I believe that even going in, that was kind of the hope that we would end to where they would like, and they held back on spending so that they
We
would return
scraped
back.
every
Okay.
penny we could.
Well, one of the questions that I normally ask and hadn't started off this year, but in the adjustments that the departments make, and Sheriff's Department being one of them, I would appreciate you very much whenever you can make line item adjustments within your budgetary line items and come up with the dollars that you need to do extra stuff. If y'all put that into perspective into these line items of what we've adjusted down and what we've adjusted up, and staying focused with true line numbers, then instead of this is what we had in this line item last year, and this is what we spent, and now we've spent it all out, now we're wanting to fund it back 100% plus an
As-
extra 10% or
As we
whatever.
go through in our meetings, we're looking at what they're spending today.
Mhm.
Back to my question.
So it's fairly adjusted then through these
Trying to get
numbers
that
then,
right.
we're trying to get to there. And it's great for you to come back and adjust through your line item, but then again, we've over budgeted. Y'all have over budgeted.
Or there's sometimes we
And-
do sacrifices where we had a project planned and we'll cut that
It's true.
project to fund something else
There's
that's
a-
more important.
There's a million different scenarios that we can go in. I mean, it's trying to get your budgetary issue tight though, into your running and workable frame. So, with just a little bit of leeway.
Back, okay, the gasoline for this year was 650,000, but last commission meeting, we put 150,000 more in, right? Wasn't that gasoline 150,000, or was it 200,000? 150. Okay, well now, why then does my amended budget say, get 850,000?
Let's say I'm not willing to roll the dice like I did last year.
Now, this is the
Oh, no,
amended
we've
budget
already
for.
amended 50,000 in, and then we did
You
another.
did, so
50
you, and
another
then you did
150. Yes, sir.
50,000.
Yes, sir, we've done that twice. We have amended a total of 200,000
Yeah, we
for this
did.
year.
I
Yeah.
forgot all about that, so.
Yes.
So we amended it 200,000.
Okay, well, that's why I keep, because the way I see it, if you leave out the $500,000 for the cars, that we knew you were rolling that over, literally is what it was, that I see this budget now is still, what, 500,000 more than last year. That's what I'm seeing. Okay. I can live with that a lot better than when I see 18 and now, it's over 19, so. And now I know where these are mostly coming from because we talked about that. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Sheriff, your predecessor started out, when I started out, in around 90, well, I was elected August of 90. Overtime line item pay was around $30,000. $30,000. Thought it was,
He's gonna get around to
I thought it was high. I thought it was high then. Now we're looking, it's increased and increased and increased. It's the 2010-11 was $500,000. Well, $40,000 over $500,000. And now we're looking at $800,000 in overtime line item pay. One of your predecessor's comments, and I can quote this because, it was true, the bad guys going down the road till we clock out like, the cartoon, and we clock back in the next morning. You can't do that. I understand that. Emergency service, police department, you carry on. But one of the things on the campaign trail that I talked to you about, overtime line item pay. It's increased. It hasn't decreased.
It increased this year because of the liability to the county for the SROs. The SROs used to get paid from the school system. Let's say you came out to work a ball game, the school system would hand you a check personally for $100. A lot of things came up. I brought a lot of information to the table. We all worked that out.
I know that's a flow-through now. I understand.
Yeah.
It's a lot
And
better.
that's-
It's a lot better. That's what we need to
And
do.
it actually
That's in that
costs a
number.
little bit more
Yeah.
than just handing you a check, because there wasn't benefits being paid in that. You didn't have insurance, you didn't have all those other benefits put into that $100.
So you've cut out overtime altogether, and now it's coming through the school system through the overtime
Well,
line I'm paying. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Let him
No,
get through
I knew it
explaining.
wasn't. I was just
No.
trying to see what you're going to.
That's one of the big reasons why it's gone up.
Yeah.
The other is, you know, in some ways, we're short-staffed in a lot of ways. There are some zones in this county that aren't covered at times, and so we've got to cover those things. And overtime is a lot of times what we offer. You know, hey, guys, I can't get the commission to give me another body, but I can get some overtime and I can pay you. So that's where that comes in. I think that's one reason why you've seen it go up steadily over the years. If you notice, we haven't had a new body given to us for patrol in probably 5 years. But yet crime has increased. And I'm trying to keep up. I need more bodies.
How many positions do you have that are open that you haven't filled, though?
Currently, as of today, there's 2. I had one resign this morning, and I had one retire as of the 14th.
So I don't see a request for people.
Because it's not, with this, the budget years the way it is, if I could have, really and truly, my original thing on the budget was gonna be just getting my narcotics position funded. That in itself, just to fund those, was gonna be $400,000. If I came to you and said, hey, I also need 5 patrol officers, that's another, say roughly $500,000. I'm coming to you, and then I need vehicles, and I need, you know, all the different things for it. That could have been up to another $2.5, $3 million. That would have went over like a lead balloon. So, I mean, to be realistic, I know that. It's just like next year, I know that we got a new high school coming online. I'll put 2 SROs in my budget. It will be discussed, but it'll be a lot easier to get that SRO than it ever is to get a patrol officer. I need some more detectives. You know, I also gave you the staffing analysis, 44 new people for detention. You know, that's one reason why I send you the emails I do, to keep you informed and let you know what we've got, but yet I do know the struggles that we are having within the budget. And I've been told many times, we know you need it, but we can't fund it right now.
Well, I don't know if there's ever gonna be an easy budgetary year, but your department still has to carry on.
Correct.
So, to me, and I've really become educated in overtime, you know, and what it entails. But, you know, you take, if they printed this in the D&J of $800,000 in overtime pay for a department, I mean,
But you also
it's unbelievable.
If you also look at our budget,
792, right?
757.
I got 792.
But it's only, we revised that.
just the,
Oh, on this other
okay,
page.
here's a statistic of the sheriff's office.
Sorry, 50,000 off.
And this isn't up-to-date numbers because we changed them.
Yeah.
But out of the total sheriff's office budget, where is it at? Operating. Salaries are 83% of the total sheriff's office side of the budget. 83% is the, you know, this is the operations, the equipment, vehicles, everything. 17%, or roughly 2.3 million. So that's why naturally overtime is going to be a whole lot more when, you know, 83% of your budget is salaries.
3.4, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
3, sorry.
I got you. It's one thing I'm gonna ask about every year, overtime.
Oh, I know. I was prepared, or half ready for it. And I've broke down the same thing for the jail side.
Yeah.
You know, the jail, 55% of the jail's budget is salaries. The other 45% is, or, yeah, 54% is salaries, the other 45% is operating costs.
So Mayor did his original request when, you know, y'all first sat down and talked about, you know, bringing on employees and stuff. I mean, what is your analyzation to overtime and putting people, you know, in the position? I mean, because you're talking about real dollars here. This ain't $30,000 no more. This is, you know, $750,000 and
Well,
creeping up.
I don't have really an adequate answer for that. I mean, I haven't really analyzed how many people he would need to reduce his overtime to zero. I don't think.
You're still gonna have overtime if you.
You're gonna have some amount of overtime, period.
Yeah, I understand that. I
And one
understand
way
that.
to kind of combat
And I
that
understand
situation-
a portion, I don't know what the percentage is through this thing where the flow-through money now is coming, and that's a lot better
Well,
way of.
and we are fixing to try.
But I don't know what that
something new.
number is, see.
Well,
so.
the number that you're looking at
What date do we
is,
start?
if you take the 757,000, and you divide it by the 408 full-time people, it's $1,800 a year.
No, there's not
Of
400
overtime.
in this budget.
No.
No, the total sheriff's office patrol and detention is 461 employees.
If I can multiply
Yeah.
right,
June
sorry.
1st, June 18th, we're gonna try something new. Right now, we all work 410s on the patrol side. We're gonna go to 12-hour shifts. So maybe that will help us with, in the way that hopefully it will do, it will add manpower to the street. And hopefully it'll cut some of this overtime. But he says that it all averages out to per person to $3,000 a year if you give.
That's everybody.
Sure.
That's everybody.
Commissioner, I was here when you came in. Tell me how old we are.
Been a while.
At that time, 1990, if you remember, we just built a new jail, 108-bed facility, $5 million. In '89, sentencing laws changed. But we had approximately about 67 prisoners at that time. We got upwards of 900 now. If you remember, also in '95, first pay plan came in place. That's gonna change your dollars a lot. If you put the calculator to how our percentages increased between 90, let's say 2004, we probably increased over 220%. In '97, we built a new jail, another one, $22.5 million. 550-bed facility. We got 900 prisoners in it. That year, if you remember, we hired 88 employees in 1 year. We had 18 detention officers before that to watch that 67. So that kind of, when you look at that, you started, we hired probably 76 people on grants during that time. And you look at, that's where the dollars really increase on overtime. 'Cause ever since I've known you, I know that you're a stickler on overtime. Know that. But that's kind of, when you look at it that way, you have to look at how the increases occurred.
Yeah.
You know, and the responsibilities that, you know, it just naturally occurs. You know, pay increases, everything else, more personnel, a lot more prisoners. You know, all that increases the budget. When I first started, we had a $400,000 budget and 26 employees, 34 prisoners. That was in '77.
I think you gotta look at something else. If the overtime is really needed because there aren't enough people, and it's not, that overtime is actually cheaper than it is having full-time, because you don't have to pay all the benefits that
Exactly
would,
right.
Buy them
normally
a car
have to
and
be.
buy them all the other equipment and take them
Well,
through training and all the different things.
Would explain
Well,
why.
103, kind of go down to there, how many we got? I like to stay on top of that too. You got it right there. Over there.
That.
Thank you very much.
You go, Jill on one side and Sheriff.
I got you. Thank you. Well, it's a reminder in all seriousness. I mean, to look at it and not look at it and watch it go up, look at it and control it. And I know you're gonna do that. So do the best you can. You're out there protecting us, and we want you to continue doing that. But, I know one of these years it's gonna hit $1 million in overtime, and it's just gonna hurt me to vote for that. I mean, we got.
You willing to give position? No. I would say probably next year, we're gonna look at several positions.
Yeah.
Crime's going up. I mean, the statistics are showing it. And the only way we've ever gotten positions before were naturally because of lawsuits and stuff like that. You know, I'm gonna try to, you know, work with the commission and do the best I can, but we've talked about that in the past.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Sheriff. We do have a motion and a second on the Sheriff's Department budget. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now, let's move, please, to page 52. And this is the special patrols, and this is the lake patrol, and I believe this is all federal dollars, is it not, Mayor Burgess?
It comes in for, yes, it is federal.
Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers, that's right.
It's the same money as the current year.
And this is actually paid as overtime to the deputies as well.
Okay, these are federal dollars reimbursed by the Corps of Engineers.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner
Hold on
Jones.
to your seats, motion to approve.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Please turn to page 54, the administration of sex offender budget.
In front of it is
Oh,
the revised,
yes.
and that was the 5,000 in overtime.
Yes, that's the change that our finance director had said had been made of the sheet right in front of it.
This is the difference in 54, page 54, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. From 69 to
Bottom line says
75
18
now.
is 29, so that's 75,975 is the recommended amount.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan. We have a motion, we need a second.
Second by
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Gentlemen, pages 55 through 57, we will now deal with the detention part of the budget. This is the jail budget. Mayor Burgess.
All right, the recommendation is $14,231,473. And that is an increase of $1,040,000. Now, we have in here a couple of, well, one big item in particular that is simply an estimate at this point. Until we get our bids in, we won't know. But line item 399, we are projecting 10% plus increase there, and that's, so that $3,664,000, that's a $435,000 increase, which is almost half of the total increase. There are various other increases scattered about, and I'll review some of those. And notice up here, when you look at 103, 109, 110, and all of those items, the sheriff's got zeros in there, but you can see down at 189, he had all of those numbers lumped together, and Ms. Nolan has unwound those numbers and put them back into proper classification. So that's why there are differences there. 103, you see, is 68,000 versus a 0 in the budget request, but that's, so you can't be overly concerned about that because this all nets itself out. There are, but you can look at the,
Can I make one point?
you make the point, yes, ma'am.
On 189, we did pull a group of his employees out, and that is the booking department, the group of people that do booking, and we've accounted for those in 189.
Now, you can't see all of these numbers in particular, but there are, again, substantial changes in valuation of employees, like we've done with any number of the
So it's-
other departments.
Is that the 15 you're talking about on
Yes.
this? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
The change in 399, what does that do to? You said there was a big change in other contractor
Well,
services.
that's the medical services
For
that's
the
being
medical service,
provided.
okay, huh.
We're taking bids on those next week, I think, or, well, maybe this week, I'm not sure.
Next week, the 23rd.
Next week. And we just put that in there as a factor. We hope it's less than that. We don't know what the numbers are going to be until we get them in.
It's one of those things we
We'll
don't
have to
really
modify
control.
the budget depending on how that turns out. There are any number of $10,000 and $12,000, $20,000 increases. Insurance is up over about 80,000 simply because, again, that's the way the number of employees and their coverages and the increase that we put in place happens. We've increased a nominal amount for maintenance and repair of buildings. That's $250,000, which is up $23,000. Printing, et cetera, we're up $5,000. We've reduced transportation $10,000. Custodial supplies is about $7,000 less than current. We're up $4,000 on data processing supplies. We're up about $21,000 on food.
Yes, we're already talking about.
Based on the current population, $1,010,000 is not too much. Prisoners' clothing is up about $23,000. We have more prisoners and buying more clothing. And we've had to amend, I guess I don't know what we had to amend into that budget or not, but we've had some difficulties
Yes, we
there.
437 is gonna be a tough one to live with. Can you live with that?
Looks like you requested $1 and the mayor didn't give it to you.
I don't know what happened there.
We tried arguing for a while, but he won.
Yeah. We'll pass the hat and get you that $1 around here in a few minutes, probably. Maybe.
Well, we've left the utility request in place. I mean, that $625,000, if that 448, that's about a 9 months, that's about $50,000 a month, and that's about $600,000. So the 625, hope is enough. It might be a little too much. We've shrunk the building improvements back from what they were, but we got the building and repair up at the top. The 250 still up there. Data processing equipment again is up $35,000 there. Maintenance equipment is up from nothing to $20,000. I don't remember what that was, to be honest. Other equipment reduced his request by $20,000, but it's still up $5,000. So miscellaneous things that I added up are $250,000 so plus your $435 on medical, puts you at about almost $700,000 of the $1 million increase, and the rest of it is in your salaries and those adjustments in your health insurance, et cetera.
709 started out, no, never mind, that's it. Never mind. So never mind, I know.
So the recommendation is $14,231,473.
Agree with it, Sheriff Arnold.
Sheriff Arnold?
Okay, this is where I've got a little bit of stuff I want to inform you about. I agree with the mayor's recommendation, but I do feel that I have to inform you about some stuff. Let's see. For each one of these, each individual. Pass those around.
I'm gonna make a motion, prove it while he's handing these out.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bond.
Pass those.
We do have a motion and a second, but now we'll hear from the sheriff.
Same thing, one packet. One packet. Oh, two different things. Okay.
There's one about chillers and there's one about hot water heaters. We currently, I've been sending emails out, you should have gotten those talking about the hot water heater. We've got a leak in the hot water heater.
Two different ones.
So we know, you should have one.
I got it on March.
We need one extra one.
Yeah, the one with the paper clip one has a staple.
I don't have a paperclip one.
We need to
There
make
you
sure,
go.
Oh, there's
yes,
one.
she needs one for her records for sure.
I'll give you this one, this is
Oh,
over.
We got plenty of the staple hot
Oh,
water.
they got,
Well, here's the hot water, everyone doesn't have one of those.
Is
What
staple
you do
company?
with your hot water?
I got the staple.
Yeah,
You
hot
don't
water.
have one of those.
Yeah.
I've got, we don't have
Staple.
to.
Got both of them.
You got both of
Sign
them.
too. I got
You
one
got
of these.
both of
Oh, maybe that on that
I'll
side.
give you this one.
Okay.
Right, here, give me that one.
She's got that.
You need to,
Here,
I've got
you
it.
take mine.
Who's on first?
Yeah. Briefly, you can see down at the bottom. Okay, with the chillers, the one with the paper clip. In the past, July 1st, 2010, there was $69,231.87 spent on the chillers. We have received a quote this year from Trane to spend another $44,000 this next year on chillers, and it has a lot of different explanations in there. A new chiller would estimate cost $135,000. So, I want you to know, if the chillers go out and all that this is gonna wipe out this line item. We're having problems with the chillers. It talks about in here, the refrigerant is now, they no longer use it. From what I was told, the R22 refrigerant that they use used to be like $30 a pound, now it's $500 a pound. Because naturally they're doing away with it and they're going to some other type. Also on the next one, you have the hot water heater, which is something that we know is gonna happen. We haven't got the guys in to actually tell us for sure what's going on with it. We know it's leaking at the bottom of the tank. To remove that tank or to try to even attempt to fix it, we're gonna have to cut the pipes out, flip it over on its side because it's at the very bottom and no one can get to it, and see if it could be possibly welded to fix it. And if it can't, even if they do fix it, we flip it back up, we gotta replace all the pipes and then pray that it works. If not, then we'll have to cut all of it back out, and you have to cut this tank up to even get it out the door. And there's 2 of them for the building. So, the reason why I'm telling you this, if we have these 2 big issues happen, and the first one, the hot water heater, would be probably the first thing to go, it will wipe out that entire line item of 707. And if it does, just like what we've been here before, asking for more money to fix these improvements, this building is roughly 15, 16 years old. It's time for things to start really breaking, and so I wanted to inform you all that. I agree with the mayor's recommendation. I understand we have to budget for things, but if stuff happens, I just want y'all to know that I'm gonna come back and say, hey, these things have happened and we need money. But with the chiller, we've spent really, with the $69,000 and the $44,000 we're gonna spend now, we could have replaced it. And we still got something that we're gonna have to replace. So I just wanted to tell y'all, inform y'all of that. Also, with line item 187, is overtime. We're gonna talk about that again. Right now, we're at $230,000 we've spent so far this year. It takes, what, $195,000 on the jail side just for the 15 minutes that they come into work 15 minutes early for roll call a year. And now they are doing other things. We are using the detention officers as cross-trained officers because they are a pay grade 4, which is less than a patrol officer. We're cross-training them, giving them a weapon, and on our emergency committals, those people are being taken into our custody. By state law, we are mandated to transport these people to a mental hospital. Well, the governor shut down the one in Nashville, so we either go to Knoxville or we go to Memphis, and we do this several times a day. It could be twice a day, sometimes it could be more, sometimes it could be less. And naturally, that eats up some overtime. And we were using patrol officers, but to use detention officers, one, it leaves patrol officers in our zones to protect us out in our homes. And we use the detention officers, which is in the jail. We make sure we still have the staffing. Sometimes they get overtime, but it doesn't affect on the patrol side. And we're actually paying a cheaper rate to do that. That's why you've seen our overtime in the jail side rise over the past year. So I just wanted to inform you all of that in case something comes back next year, I can refer back to this. That's all I have.
Gentlemen, any further discussion? Commissioner Peete.
Your transport, taking prisoners back and forth to the court, what line item, is that 354?
No, that's extradition.
Yeah, that's extradition.
Okay. So is that, where does that fall?
It just falls in with the personnel.
The personnel, yeah.
And
And then the fuel.
they're all in.
Well, that's what I was looking for, fuel too, where's the
Yeah,
fuel
gas is
line
not
item?
itemized on this side.
Yeah,
on the sheriff's
it's,
side.
all the gas is on one side, the transport officer's salary is on the jail side.
Okay,
We got
so
different set of
it's in that one?
Yes.
All right. that's what was confusing me. I thought everything was separated, so.
Well, and I did too. I talked to Lisa about doing that, coming up with a line item and trying to make the sheriff's office one complete side in everything it does. And the jail, the same way, we're putting vehicles into the jail, putting gas and those things, but,
We'd have to account for it.
yeah, it would be a whole lot easier just to keep doing what we're doing, is the way it was explained to me, and after learning what I learned, I agree.
So at one time, we had talked about doing video arraignment, that kind of thing.
Yeah, hopefully we're going in that direction.
That would cut down on overtime dramatically. I was curious where we were at there.
And a lot of times with the transport officers, we don't have any say-so on their overtime, because the judge's docket could be big and the judge could decide he wants to work overtime. So then that we do, because he's salary, so his docket could be full and it could take him longer. So that's how that usually works for us. We're at the mercy of the judges.
All right.
Gentlemen, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
What's the average, would you say, 150 state prisoners a day? If you look at the year as a whole.
300 right now.
300 state?
Yeah. The average has been more than 250 this whole year.
This is a few days ago. Well, actually, this was April 19th. This was our daily count. We're down to 895, I believe, today. But we were high as 917. Normally, usually about every other day, I send you one of these.
Yeah, I've seen some, but, okay, where on here is it got, have the ones that are state? You got all the-
Oh, it's down here towards the bottom. You have sentenced.
No, it's not.
No.
It may not be on this page. It's
May not be on
He's
this
got it
page.
on another report, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last one I saw,
I've
right at
I've
300.
seen it on some of them, I was just wondering.
Yeah, there's several different ways you can print these reports. I don't think it has.
Well, throughout a year, what would you say is an average?
About
Would
250.
that day,
It's
would it
been
be
200.
200?
I'd say 250.
Yeah.
Really?
This
It's been
past
that
year,
high.
now,
So
it's
that's higher than it was
more,
2
man.
years ago.
It's going back up.
Yeah, when I took office, we had an average daily count of 600 inmates. We're now, close to 900. And for every 77 state inmates we have for a year, that's $1 million that the state of Tennessee gives back to the county for housing those people. And so for every $1 million, that's saving 2 cents on the tax rate. Correct? Close to?
Yes.
Gentlemen, let's continue with the DEA fund, section 7 of your notebooks. Section 7.
This is the fund that you don't budget the revenue until you receive it. And so what we would recommend on this one is, what we put in your notebook is just the expenditure report at the end of April. In the line that is available, if we were to close today, this is what we would recommend the budget to be. And it's it's those categories that they put in, and it would just roll into next year. And we'll reevaluate this on their spending before we go, almost like the last step, and see where they are, and then that would be the recommendation we follow. So we really don't have a recommendation right now for that one.
Have it on June the 29th, right?
Probably.
Okay.
It may be before then, because where the spending is.
So we can't approve a non-recommendation?
So do you want, is this just for
I mean,
information?
it's just
only?
really for
Just
information.
information.
This is the one we're talking about.
If we close today, we'd recommend $154,610, because that's what that would equate to what their fund balance is.
Yeah.
And you would only, you'd budget what their fund balance is.
And it's gonna be around that anyway.
Well, I mean, they
somewhere.
will have some spending that they'll do,
What did it say,
but
154,000?
there's no personnel in this, it's just,
That's
stuff.
based on what's in the fund now. What's right there.
Ready for drug control then?
Okay, gentlemen, turn to section 8 in your notebooks, and this is the drug control fund.
We're estimating beginning fund balance at $339,575, revenues at $440,500. Mayor.
And the expenditure is 600 and, let's get smaller every day. $638,000. 600.
The expenditures is the very last page, gentlemen.
That's the recommendation. That takes care of, how many of our people in there?
Five.
Five employees in that drug enforcement.
And this is over after this year, pretty much.
Unless he
Unless
would
you do
recover
like-
an extraordinary amount of unexpected revenues.
Can a DEA fund is restricted for
You can't fund
this? Okay.
You definitely would not want to put personnel
No.
in that other one.
The CTAS will actually tell you this fund not to do what we've been doing. Basically, consider this a grant. Next year, the grant runs out. It's been about a 15-year grant.
I mean, there's some money that comes in through the courts. We've got estimated 80,000 in drug control funds from the circuit, and then from general sessions, we've got 110. So those two are pretty much recurring. The question is always, you know, how much from proceeds from confiscated property? That's really the unknown.
So what's your opinion for warming us up for next year?
Absorbing these positions. All of them.
Carry on.
Carry on. And then we also have one grant position in detectives, so it could be possibly absorbing 6 positions. There again, it'll be hard to even ask for more patrol officers when you're already just trying to absorb what you already have. And that's the struggle that I have. Because I've already basically absorbed one, that means I have one less patrol officer on the street because I've absorbed one. If I'm able to absorb all of these, you know, there's been several conversations about how to do it with which positions. You know, I have corporals on patrol, I have detectives, I have SROs. When those positions come open, do I just absorb and do away with those other positions? Because it has to be a pay grade 6. So, you know, we have less officers on the street if I absorb. It's been tough, but we've done it.
It's gonna be a tough decision to make.
Especially after hitting 94 kilos of cocaine.
Better than 94 kilos of $100 bills.
Yeah. We've
And
had
make
that.
the rest right at the time the guy's buying it, so you can get the money and.
And the drugs. That's how we really and truly want to do it. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes we just have to go ahead and just take the drugs. But, you know, it's nice if you get the money and the drugs at the same time.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second motion.
Jordan, and seconded by Commissioner Stanley. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Sheriff Arnold, Deputy Russell, thank you very much.
Can you believe it went that smooth? Here, you can have this one. Okay.
Sheriff, y'all done a good job explaining it really smooth. You and your employees.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good one.
Gentlemen, any other business that needs to come before our committee?
We're not gonna meet till whole next week.
Okay, let me remind you, yes, our next budget committee meeting will be May 21st, which is next Monday at 5:30. And we should finish the general fund that night. So May 21st at 5:30, that's Monday.
Is that at the school board? No.
That's
No,
the next
that's
night.
it, that's it.
22nd, okay, I see it right here, you got it on the line.
Okay. Anything else that needs to come before our committee? Commissioner Shaker?
I just have a question. I've read where they're gonna raise $2 a day, what the state pays for housing state inmate. If they do that, where's that money? Does that money just go into the general fund?
We've estimated an increase in that.
But it goes into the general fund?
Is that a for sure though deal
Yes.
now? It is?
Yes.
Okay.
That's in the budget, so we're gonna approve.
I was hoping it wasn't in the budget. You know, it'd be a nice thing, isn't it?
Anything else?
Okay.
Gentlemen, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.